Have you ever been in this situation? Your enemy is very low on HP, he's recalling under the turret, and you could dive into it and kill him with your skills. But you won't make it out alive yourself, since you also have almost no HP left. So, what will you do? Will you commit to the act, or will you let him live and sacrifice nobody? Hello my friends! This situation is called a trade, and this is something most Mobile Legends players completely ignore while playing, although it's one of the most important factors while being in a match. Because the more good trades you and your teammates have made, the bigger your advantage over the enemy is. There are many types of trades. You can trade your life with the enemies, you can trade your life with the turret, you can trade the turtle with some sweet turret gold, and the list goes on. Stay tuned till the end, because I will tell you which are the worst trades that you can make. The shoutout of the week goes to James. And this video was sponsored by EF Defense. EF Defense is a really cool tower defense game that just has been released a few months ago and is growing rapidly. As many of you know, the first MOBA was created as a mod in Warcraft 3 back in 2003, which I actually never played, because I was busy playing all these much more fun tower defensive mods together with my classmates, while we were supposed to do our IT projects in school. Yes, I'm that old. EF Defense for me is like being in a time capsule back to 2005, because I remembered how fun tower defensive games are. It has over 100,000 downloads in the App Store and just received a huge update, introducing a new hero and tons of new content. This game isn't all about defense though. You can also siege bases in the game's frontier mode, or just beat up other players in the PvP mode. Whatever you like more, there's always something fun to do in EF Defense. And the game is completely free, so trying it out won't hurt you at all, but greatly support me and my channel. Use my link below or the QR code on the screen to download it right now. Thank you very much EF Defense for sponsoring this video. Before we dive too deep into the situation, you must first learn the role priority inside of a team, because depending on your role, your life is worth more or less. Can you guess which role has the most value? I'll give you 3 seconds to think about it. Dum 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 dum. If you've guessed gold laner or mid laner, you're correct. The gold laner's life oftentimes worth more than the rest of the team. This position is commonly filled with a marksman, who is the carry of the team in the late game. If you're taking this role, your responsibility is to farm as much as you can, because most marksmen need at least 2 core items before they can deal any significant amount of damage. Of course, there are exceptions, but we're not talking about them today. An underfarmed marksman is also useless AF, which is why dying is no option for you. The second place is the mid laner. This position is commonly filled with a mage, who is the second main damage dealer in the team. Since magic damage has a huge impact in a team fight, your presence in it is irreplaceable. So if you lay down in the dirt because you were farming mindlessly, your team has a huge disadvantage in any fight. The third place is the jungler. You might be wondering, why is the jungler only in third place? Sure, if you're taking the first 5 to 8 minutes of the match, the jungler is the most important role in the team, since this role is mostly filled with assassins, fighters or tanks with huge snowball potential. They are commonly so strong in the early game that you can quickly gain your power spike once you've reached level 4 and unlocked your ultimate. After a while though, their position starts to fall down in places, just as most junglers fall off the cliff in the late game. Every jungler's main job is shifting from carrying the team in the early game to taking down the Lord with Retribution in the late game, and maybe split push if there's a chance. Because in the late game, you're no longer able to pick off enemies easily, since they are all stuck together. On the fourth place is the XP laner. This role is usually filled with a fighter or tank, even though this role's main objective is managing the lane and help the jungler taking down the objectives. In ganks, they often act as a second punching bag who soaks up damage to protect the super squishy marksman and mage. Naturally, this is where you die more often, which is totally fine if you've done your job well and your allies destroyed the whole enemy team. Finally, the last place, our brave soldier, the roamer. If you're the roamer, your life has the lowest priority among the team. Since most roamers are tanks or supports, your main job is to protect the allies from damage, take as much damage as possible from the enemies, check bushes, or set up a team fight for your team. Naturally, these jobs will result in you dying more often than anyone else. But as long as your carries are able to deal their damage and even make it out alive, you've done a great job. even when the 5 ults the enemies blasted into your face really hurted you. Now we understand the value of each role. Let's get back to the situation in the beginning of the video. Are you the gold laner or are you the roamer? If the recalling hero under the turret is their marksman and you're using a roamer, then you should dive in to trade your life with them. While both of you die in the process, you will delay the farm of this fucker. Yes, you both get gold for the kill, but while their marksman is now dead and misses one complete wave of minions because of it, your marksman can freely farm the lane without disturbance, get all the minions and maybe can even get some sweet turret gold. This will make your gold laner stronger than the enemies. And now they are able to dominate their lane in a 1v1. Here's a nice graph that shows you what is a good trade and what is a bad trade. You can consider trading your life if your life has less value than your enemies. This is the basic rule of trading your life in Mobile Legends. So make sure to only make good trades in the game. I've seen so many bad trades in the game, like mages diving into the enemy's territory just to kill the low HP tank and then die from turret shots. While you're looking at the dimmed screen, the enemy's mage can shove their minions into your important middle turret and you start to be less farmed than your counterpart. Take advantage of this knowledge and make the right decision every time. Of course, this is just a common guideline. There are a lot of different trades like equal trades. It means both teams have the same amount of casualties. For example, you killed the enemy's marksman and roamer, but your marksman and roamer died as well. Now you need to know something super important. Equal trades doesn't always give you equal results. You can trade the gold laner of each team, but still end up in a disadvantage. But how? This depends on the ganking situation. For example, your mid laner and roamer comes to your lane to aid you in ganking. But due to some epic outplay from the enemy's 1-1, she managed to kill your marksman in the process of defending herself before dying. This means 1 for 1, right? Wrong! Your roamer and marksman spent all the time rotating just to make an equal trade. Now ask yourself the question, where's the rest of the enemy's team? They are probably rotating to the different side of the map, either aiming for your XP laner's life or taking down the free turret since the rest of your team is far away. This is why not every equal trade is valued equally. And the situation on the battlefield is always changing as well. When you're behind and you got pressured by the enemies, any equal trade is beneficial as long as it leads to a shutdown. A shutdown gives you more gold than a normal kill. So a trade of 2 marksmen is not an equal trade in this situation. You benefit from the shutdown because the extra gold can help you to flip around the game. And you can start to make an epic comeback. Speaking of comebacks, have you watched our video about making a comeback? Give it a try, I promise it will improve your gameplay to the next level. If you're the team who's dominating the game, the equal marksman trade also doesn't work anymore, of course. Since you have the advantage, you should only aim for good trades, because any neutral trade becomes a bad trade for you. If you have your full build and the enemy doesn't, equal trades also doesn't work anymore in most cases, since only the enemy will benefit from the gold for the kill. Now let's talk about other trades that I barely mentioned yet. Objective trades. This is the most complicated part about trades, so tighten your headband. I'll try to make it as simple as I can. Number 1, turrets. The most important turret in the game is your middle one. The outer middle turret will protect your team from enemy invades, because the most strategic bushes in the game are located in the middle part of the map. Without the middle turret, defending your position will be a hard task. There's always the risk that an enemy will ambush you, so defend your outer middle turret at all costs. Well, not necessarily at all costs. Just make sure to clear the minion waves, so the enemy don't has a chance to push it. Don't sacrifice your life defending it unless you get an equal trade for it. If you face a 1v4 situation, just run. Also, the outer side turrets are less important than the middle one. So if you see an enemy pushing your top or bottom turret, you can trade it for the enemy's turret on the opposite side. Or if there's a chance, you can trade it with a middle turret, which would result in a good trade for you. Just be careful, since you can get easily ambushed while doing it. Don't bite more than you can chew. Number 2, jungle objectives. These are the guys in your and the enemy's jungle, like the buffs, Riki, and so on. When you see your enemies invading your jungle and you have no confidence in winning the skirmish, just let them take it and try to mirror their rotation. For example, if the enemy's Fanny flies into your red buff, take her red buff instead of fighting her. Taking on a pro Fanny at level 2 is suicide, especially in the tight jungle area. Number 3, neutral objectives. They are the objectives on the river area, like Bulbasaur, the Gold Crab, the Turtle and the Lord. Every one of them can give you a benefit. Lethal will give you team vision around the river area, which will help your team to delay the rotation of the enemy or make them visible on the map once they try to murder the poor side laner. The Gold Crab gives you extra gold, as we all know. Taking the Turtle gives your whole team gold, XP and a shield, which is great to dominate your counterpart, while the Lord helps you to push the turrets and to finish the game, of course. Trading one of them usually involves taking another objective. For example, when the enemy is taking down the Lord and you can't contest it because 3 of your allies just did the Alofeed move, you can try to push the opposite lane to take down the turrets instead. Of course, this is not a fair or equal trade, but you can minimize your loss by taking down another smaller objective. Maybe you can also take down one of the heroes on the different lane, which will delay their farm and reduce their ability to push after the Lord spawns. Remember, Mobile Legends is like every other MOBA. It's a game of numbers. Unless you are crazy behind in farm, you have a huge chance to win a fight when you go into a 5v4. Now, are you ready for the last trait? I'm going to tell you. The most disgusting trait that you should never attempt, not even a slight intention, is the infuriating win trading. This disgusting creature should be banned for life and be forced to play Candy Crush for the rest of their life. If you want to boost your MMR in the right way, you should use a hero that is super strong in the current meta. To find out which heroes are super strong, check out my tier list with the best heroes right now. See you over there!